So, all we'll do here is give a brief overview of the whisky making processes we do at Macallan. All single malt Scotch whisky is made of the same 3 ingredients and only 3 ingredients. It doesn't matter which distillery it comes from or which region of Scotland. Single malt Scotch is water, malted barley and yeast and nothing else. The single exception to that is we're allowed under the law, if we want to add artificial colouring to whisky. We've made the decision never to do that at Macallan, but that permission is there for any distilleries that want to be able to. So the first ingredient, the water. Our water comes from boreholes. We've got 4 boreholes on the estate, and they range in depth from 30 feet down to 70 metres. The reason for using borehole water, rather than just taking it from the River Spey, for example, is that by the time the water gets to the bottom of the hole, it's been filtered by the granite that surrounds the river. That will take out various minerals and compounds to leave us with a water source which is very pure and almost pH neutral. And then our second ingredient is the malted barley. Barley is very good for making whisky because barley contains a lot of starch. In the process, we first of all access the starch, we convert it to sugar, convert the sugar to alcohol, and from the alcohol we make spirit. So 4 stages there: starch to sugar to alcohol and then to spirit. Initially, to get to the starch, we have to put the barley through a process called malting. And that's done for us by a company called Simpson's. They're based in northern England. They'll soak the barley till it germinates, starts to grow the roots and shoots of a young plant. But inside the grain, there are enzymes that break down the protective layer surrounding the starch granules. So the starch becomes exposed inside the outer shell of the grain. We then blow warm air through it. That stops the germination and leaves us with this. Malted barley, or usually we just call it malt. So it's a dried out grain. An important characteristic is that inside there the starch is available. All we need to do to get the starch then is break the grains apart, and we do that by milling it. So this is milled malted barley. I'll pass this around. If you want to touch it, you'll feel that there's a powder component to that. So that powder is flour, and that's where the starch is. It makes up about 10% of the mixture. So the main purpose of malting and milling the barley is to get the flour and utilise the starch. The name for the mixture is grist, G-R-I-S-T. That's how we use it as a raw material in the process. It comes in down at the far end. When we mill it, it goes into a holding tub, which is just called a grist bin. After that, it goes into a much larger vessel where we mix it with hot water. The larger vessel is called a mash tun. That's also down at the far end. Once it's been through the mash tun, we're then ready to add the third ingredient in the process, and that's the yeast. The yeast is added in the large stainless steel vessels around the pods. They're called washbacks. The washbacks are the ones lit up with the blue spotlights behind me in the distillery. After 55 hours in the washback, we then have the first distillation. That's in the tall stills. So there's 4 in each pod. They're called wash stills, and the wash stills are the ones lit up red behind me in the distillery. And then a second distillation in the smaller spirit stills, 8 of them in each pod, now also with the red spotlights on them behind me. That gives us a strong spirit, passes through an intermediate spirit receiver, and the spirit receiver, and then it goes into the casks, and then just off to the warehouse for maturation.
How much alcohol in the beer?
9.5%. Yeah. As a quick bird's eye view of the process, does that make some sense?
Yes.
We're going to go down this way. If you want to take some malted barley to taste, you're very welcome to do that. If you're familiar with the flavour of malt whisky, you'll recognise that's where the maltiness comes from. Caramel, butterscotch, coconut, tropical fruit, and of course vanilla. When the trees are cut down, we use the bottom 1.5 litre section, and we leave that to air dry for up to a full year. We then cut it into the individual staves. They're left to air dry for a further 1 to 2 years. Can I ask you please to turn and face the centre and open this book? I'm really sorry, Ursula. I'm just putting my sticky in the middle very away. Put it too far forward so you can put that in. Build a stable structure, and then the casks are soaked so there is great deal of cold water. The wood expands and it softens slightly. All of this takes place in Spain. I know that looks like Scotland. Honestly, it's Spain. And then once the casks have been fully soaked, they're taken and placed over a fire. The flame toasts inside the cask. If you don't fire the wood, the whiskey won't mature. Opens up the surface to allow the new made spirit inside the wood, and it brings out the tang and band of flames. That takes about 55 minutes. Putting spirit into the fresh cask, these much as 5 or 6 years. And it gets built in the room, maybe it's been that way for months now. They will leave about 5 stores in for the journeys. So if you'd like to come around this way, let's get some cask here tonight and see where they are. Over there to the left, these are European oak sherry casks. Due to the furthest right here are American oak. Most of our whiskies and casks are like these in the warehouses up behind the distillery and down the hill there. We've got around 330,000 casks on site at the moment, all pretty much made according to the process that we've just seen. The exception is about 1% of Macallan is maturing in American oak ex-bourbon barrels like this one. Whenever we need some of these, buy them from a producer in the States called Heaven Hill, ship them across the Atlantic, we just put our new mix spirit straight into them. Yeah. That goes into our triple cask range, and if you have your triple cask, well, we get one at the end of the tour, you'll be able to tell the influence of the ex-bourbon matured whiskey makes the whiskey a lot sweeter. Macallan, though, tends to be associated with sherry oak flavours. If we've got a signature that our reputation was built on around the world, it's definitely the European oak sherry cask. More than 90% of these that come to Scotland are just coming straight here to Macallan. It's a much more expensive wood, so most of the industry, understandably, is using American oak, bourbon or sherry or various other wine casks. But because that's what we're known for, that's why we continue to.
The finest malted barley, yeast,
influenced by the seasons and the passing of time,
the freshness of spring, the warmth of summer, the cooling of the autumn, the cold of the winter. It's all about time.
I'm a reflection of my environment. A landscape of layered complexity.
When we're in the whisky room nosing each individual cask, they all provide a different characteristic. You can all of a sudden be nosing a cask that's providing citrus notes and honeyed vanillas, or then the next cask could actually be giving us amazing amounts of dried fruits and cinnamon, dates, almonds, chocolates, biscuits, toffee, caramelized, rose, coconut, orange zest. There's so many notes and characteristics.
Distilled in the past, over the years I have evolved.
We draw thousands of samples to ensure all our stocks are maturing perfectly. We find that each individual cask is given effectively its own personality, which gives us all these different layers of different characters, different complexities. There are playful qualities in the casks. They always have a story to tell. Every day, the casks reveal an element of surprise.
I am the result of mastery, combining intuition and precision.
We set up hundreds of selected samples every day in the whisky making room on the bench, so we can then start to see each individual colour and then begin to start assessing its character.
I am a celebration of people and of passion.
The whisky takes you on a journey. It starts to play with you to a certain extent, and sometimes you think you might go in one direction with an expression and end up somewhere completely different. Sometimes 1 + 1 = 3 and we're not quite sure why. When we're nosing each individual sample, we're thinking about the levels of complexity and the different characters that are coming through, the different colours, how they might actually work together, how they might balance each other off, and then start to form what expression we might actually want to pull together.
I am the Macallan.
Thank you.